When most people think about what it would be like to be able to speak to the dead, they imagine quick glimpses of conversation with loved ones who have passed on, perhaps seeking closure or a final goodbye. But if we could speak to the dead, the implications are much larger than that. It could change the world as we know it. It could also cause some major problems. On one hand, being able to speak to those who have passed could bring some people a lot of peace. Imagine being able to ask your deceased loved one questions about their life, or even getting advice from someone who's no longer around, but who you know had your best interest at heart. Additionally, there are many people who die without their affairs in order, whether they have forgotten bank accounts, hidden assets, or other important information. If these people could speak to their loved ones after death, they could set things straight, making the grieving process much easier for those left behind. But what about unsolved mysteries? Imagine being able to question a murder, victim, or getting an inside perspective on a historical event by speaking to someone who was there. With this newfound ability comes a plethora of new problems. For starters, there are billions of people who have died, and most of them didn't know they were dying when they took their last breath. That means that when they reach out to say goodbye, they're not only confused about why they aren't moving on, but they're also reaching out to the living at random. There's no way to know who might be contacted by whom, which means that millions upon millions of people could be barraged by unwanted phone calls from beyond the grave. And while this may sound like an exciting concept, the reality is that most people wouldn't want to talk to a stranger who has just died. In fact, it could be extremely traumatizing. There's also the possibility that a person could be reached by someone they know, someone who has ill will towards them. Imagine being haunted by your ex, who is trying to make you feel guilty for something that happened 15 years ago. Or what if you're plagued by the ghost of a coworker who is upset about being fired? It might not be the closure that you were looking for. And then there's the more sinister implications of being able to speak to the dead. What if a grieving person becomes obsessed with a deceased loved one to the point where they don't want to move on? What if someone tries to use your ability to contact the dead for their own gain? This is all in addition to the problems that would arise from a legal standpoint. Who would be allowed to speak to the dead? How much would it cost? Would there be a limit to the amount of time you could speak to them? All of these questions would need to be answered and more. With all of these potential pitfalls, you might think that speaking to the dead would be something to avoid. But what if there was a way to make it work? What if there was a way to speak to the dead without all of the downsides? If it was possible, would you try it? Let us know in the comments below. As for me, I'm good with just waving to the friendly ghost that haunts my house. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching Parallelish. I'm Nova, your guide through the unknown. Want to explore more timelines? Tap the playlist above and keep diving into the what-ifs. Until next time, stay curious.